Okay, hey everyone. Welcome to Grounded with John Tester and Maritza Giorgio. I made a huge mistake, Senator.
First one you've ever made, I'll bet, huh?
That is not true. I make mistakes daily, but I made a huge mistake because a few weeks ago we were both in DC in the office you're sitting in for that Defiant State of the Union event. And before that happened, I went to Georgetown University with you. And, we chatted with your class of students, and we also interviewed 2 of your students for a podcast episode, and I never posted it.
The most important podcast
I
of
know,
the
and
year we've been doing podcasts.
I feel terrible because
'Cause
their parents were relying Leo's mom has been
yeah,
waiting
yeah.
to see this podcast.
Well, today is the day, you know? It's coming
Today
out.
today is the day, it's coming out. Honestly, this has been, it's such a wonderful conversation, and these kids are so smart that they give me hope because these are the kids who will soon be running our federal government. I don't know if you know this, but on Capitol Hill is run by, 20-year-olds.
No, do I know this? I've lived it.
Not
Yes.
you, our viewers.
Okay, alright, I
Yeah.
didn't know that. No, they are absolutely 100% correct. Don't worry about a thing they do better than the people that you elected. If you don't believe me, just take a look at the people you elected. So there you go. Yeah.
Okay, so a few caveats about this conversation. You and I look humongous. And they look teeny tiny because we're in this tiny little office where you're sitting right now, and just the perspective of the camera, and we didn't have, professional camera gear, so they look really tiny and we look humongous, so we'll just say that, okay?
Well,
But I'll
no, look. I don't think look humongous are. I mean, as I recall during that podcast, you broke a chair. That's
oh,
if
what?
I
You
if my
remember that.
yeah, memory serves me correct, and so that, teeny tiny people don't do that. I mean, you know
Well, so I rewatched this whole thing, I forgot that even happened. But there is an incident with a chair, and it goes on for a little bit of time, and so for the, sanity of our viewers, I thought, "Well, this is they don't wanna watch this, they don't wanna watch me recover from breaking this chair," but then you specifically said, "You better not edit this out."
that's right.
So I
I
did
mean,
not.
you gotta facts are the facts. You gotta stay with the facts. You don't
So
want to be
I apologize for this. Okay, but we wanna go through a few headlines as long as we're here with you, and then we'll play that conversation with you. Sound good?
sounds great.
Okay.
Yeah,
We're gonna get to Iran in a moment because there's a lot to do there, but let's talk about Georgia for a second because they had a special election yesterday for that seat vacated by Marjorie Taylor Greene. We're going to a runoff in Georgia, April 7th. Trump-backed candidate Clayton Fuller and Democrat Sean Harris are the 2 candidates who will go to that runoff. So here's the deal. You look at the numbers here and, yes, there are way more Republican votes than the Democrat received, right? Because this Colton Moore split the vote with Clayton Fuller, and there's a whole other long list of Republicans. But what I think is fascinating about these numbers is that this is a district that Trump carried with 68% of the vote in 2024.
yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, I think it speaks to the policies that have been put into effect, whether that's tariffs or what's been done with healthcare and access to healthcare, or whether that's the Iran war. And I think I don't know what the folks are campaigning on there, but the bottom line is that much of the stuff that this administration is doing is not working for small businesses or working families or family farm and ranch agriculture. And I think that's showing up in the polls. And the president can talk about how great the economy is all he wants, but people, unless you're really, really rich, people are experiencing something totally different in our economy. The economy's working if you got a lot of dough, but it ain't working for regular folks. And I think those regular folks are going to the polls and they're letting people know that. And absolutely, the Republicans aren't out doing town hall meetings or visiting with their constituents. My wife and I witnessed that this week. But in the end, people are going to be held accountable, whether they're going to show up and talk to their constituents or not. They will be held accountable, and I think we're seeing some of that accountability in Georgia.
You mean like you're seeing lawmakers not, like, avoiding spaces
Yeah.
where they talk to people?
Yep. I'm seeing lawmakers avoid places where there are constituents that probably have wanted to talk to them for 15 months, and they're avoiding them so they don't have to be around them to answer any tough questions. I think that's why we see 10 senators that have dropped out, 6 Republicans, 4 Democrats, and
I think it's
55 House.
11.
Is it 11? 55 House members. I think the break on that's 34-21, 34 Republicans, 21 Democrats. I think part of that has to do with accountability, and I think they know accountability is coming.
No, I think you're right. I'm sorry, I'm wrong. I think it's 10.
Of
I don't
course, I'm always right. Could you say that again? Could you say it just one more time?
You're right.
Thank you very
You're
much.
Did I use your legal name?
No, just say I'm right. Okay.
Okay, let's get to Iran. This is just growing increasingly concerning. Iran launched its most intense operation yet. That's according to state media. At least 3 ships have been attacked near the Strait of Hormuz. It's being reported that Iran is laying mines in the Strait of Hormuz. If you think about our energy supply and our global crude oil supply, that strait carries about a fifth of the global crude oil supply during normal operations, okay? And President Trump basically put out this threatening post on Truth Social saying, they better not, or, they won't, another threat about like doing something they've never seen before. And this is, of course, causing worries about global supply chains, gas prices, deaths, injuries. We're hearing 140 more service members injured yesterday that came out, US troops. And then there was this briefing yesterday with lawmakers on the Hill, and it was closed door briefing, classified briefing. But I want to play for you what, oh, I have to pull it up though. I want to play for you what Senator Richard Blumenthal had to say out of that meeting. Here we go.
Most concerned about the threat to American lives of potentially deploying our sons and daughters on the ground in Iran. We seem to be on a path toward deploying American troops on the ground in Iran to accomplish any of the potential objectives here. And there is also, as disturbingly as anything else, the specter of active Russian aid to Iran, putting in danger American lives.
Okay, so he's worried about troops on the ground. He says it's increasingly seeming more apparent. But I want to ease your concerns here because Steve Witkoff, the special envoy, says that Russia has told the president that Russia is not sharing intel with Iran. And Witkoff says that we can take them at their word, Senator.
Um, Whatever happened to trust but verify? You want to take the Russians at their word. You were raised in a different era than I was raised in. I will tell you that. Um, Putin is a son of a bitch, and that's being kind. And for the president to put any faith in that dictator or any dictator, as far as that goes, is out of step with reality. And and I'm being generous when I put it that way too. Look, Russia, just like Iran, just like North Korea, just like China, wants the United States to just go away. They don't much care for freedom and privacy. They don't care for people's having the ability to have their voices heard within the government. And Putin's proof of that. I mean, he kills his political opponents. And for Witkoff, who I think spent his life developing real estate, to talk about uh, how they're not sharing intel with Iran, uh, if you ought to check with our intel to find that out, because the truth is that that would be a first. That would be a first. And as far as Blumenthal talking about putting troops on the ground, the president putting troops on the ground, I should say, and his concern about it, I think people need to pay attention because we watched him take incredible military resources and put them in the Middle East, and it ended up with a war in Iran while negotiations were going on. And a war, in my opinion, it's absolutely unnecessary, and that's taking into full account that Iran has been a bad actor and a state sponsor of terrorism for 47 years. But war should be the last resort, not the first. And I just think that the folks who are prosecuting this war did not have an exit strategy when they went in. And I'm not sure they had a strategy of why they went in, other than maybe to defer attention to a different to a different thing instead of the Epstein files or the economy or what's going on in their healthcare systems or whatever it might be. It's focused on Iran, which it should be because American lives are being put at risk every day, and we're seeing people get hurt and killed, and $1 billion go out the window. So this is not this is not a good situation. And if they put troops on the ground, Katie barred the door. This is not Iraq. This is Iran. Total different animal. Total different set of circumstances surrounding them and their ability to fight back, and we're seeing it. And we have the greatest military in the world. There is no doubt about that. And we can bomb the shit out of them. But in the end, my concern is with Iran is they're going to end up in worse shape as far as being a threat to this nation than they were before the war started.
Well, you see what's happening on the ground there. I mean, we played the video the other night when we were on with Terrace at Mayor and the black rain that is falling from the sky, the children who were killed in that, missile strike at the school, it's gotta be incredibly terrifying, and I talk to my son about that all the time to think about how lucky we are to live where we live, and we don't have to worry about that stuff happening outside of our window. So definitely uh, scary stuff happening, and we're watching for developments there. But let's talk about the Pentagon because I want to show you this. This is new, brand new reporting from the Washington Post. The Pentagon is actually the Washington Post reports that the Defense Department banned certain press photographers from briefings after unflattering photos were published of Secretary Pete Hegseth. And so, apparently, according to this reporting, members of his staff said that they didn't like the way he looked. And so they shut out photographers from two briefings after that initial briefing on March 2nd, I believe. And the Pentagon press secretary is saying, like, hey, this is just because, we don't have space and we can only have one representative per news outlet if they're uncredentialed. So, if that hurts the business model for certain news outlets, they should consider applying for a Pentagon press credential. Do I need to remind you what happened there? That if you wanted a press credential at the Pentagon, you had to sign on to their rules saying that you wouldn't publish information that wasn't basically authorized by them, which is not how reporting works, by the way. So a lot of interesting things happening at the Pentagon. And then let's just show this one, and then I'll let you rant about it for a second. But Molly Jong-Fast posted this, and this is from a new report here about Pentagon spending and some of the September purchases made under Pete Hegseth, which included a nearly $100,000 piano for the Air Force Chief of Staff's home, $5.3 million for Apple devices, and $2 million alone for Alaskan king crab, and $6.9 million worth of lobster tail.
You want to talk about waste, fraud, and abuse? You want to talk about what Elon Musk should be doing? He should be walking into the Department of War, Defense right now and dealing with this shit. $100,000 Steinway? I mean, that thing must be 30 feet long for Christ's sakes. I've never heard of a piano costing that much money. And Steinway's a great brand, trust me.
Well, I mean,
I
to
play
be
a little
fair,
piano myself, you know? So that's the way that goes. But, steak and king crab legs and I mean, unbelievable. That's number 1. Number 2, put the picture back up again of Hegseth that he was so pissed off about. Can you do that? So
I
if
don't know
he's
if
mad
that was the
if
picture, but
if
I think so.
if he's mad about that picture, then he needs to go down to Mar-a-Lago and get the Christy Nome treatment because that's how he looks, okay? And, so unless you're gonna get modified, and if your look's modified, then that's the way it is. And by the way, if he ever ran for public office, he would find out the other side would find much more photos that were far more
Ooh.
unflattering than that one, I'm telling you. So,
I know, I love some of the ones of you from your ads where you're like, "You look so grumpy," and they
that's
put, like,
because
the dark filter over you.
yeah. because I am grumpy, damn it, you know it.
My
You got
my
plenty of things
son
to be grumpy about.
and here's a good story. My son said the other day that John Tester reminds him of Indiana Jones. I said, "Really? Why?" "Well, because he's so grumpy."
You try to be a
That
nice guy, you try to be respectful to the younger generation, and that's what they do.
that's what
I'm
they
telling
get.
you. Oh,
Okay,
boy,
and
that's what they get.
another Washington Post exclusive, reporters there this is pretty alarming. Reporters there say that, the Social Security Administration's Inspector General is now looking into an anonymous whistleblower complaint that claims a former DOGE employee took your Social Security data to his new job on a thumb drive. That data includes records for more than 500 million people, living and dead Americans, social security numbers, citizenship status, birth dates, parents' names, etc., etc. And this really stood out to me in this article from WAPO that according to the complaint they write, he allegedly told the whistleblower that he needed help transferring data from a thumb drive to his personal computer so he could sanitize it before using it at this company. And he told another colleague who refused to help him upload the data because of legal concerns that he expected to receive a presidential pardon if his actions were deemed to be illegal. That's according to the complaint.
What can I say? I mean, we've been hearing stories about this for a year now, where Elon came in with a bunch of kids, and they didn't have much instruction, they just took whatever the hell they wanted. Shouldn't be surprised, but you should be pissed off. I'll just say that. You do so much work to protect your Social Security number, to protect your identity, and you got some clown from South Africa that's got the information now. Nothing against South Africans, but I got a problem with clowns, okay? So, that's the way it is, you know?
Oh gosh, I was gonna put this other story in, speaking of clowns, that I forgot to do, but there's you seen this thing about the shoes?
No, I
Oh
miss the
my
shoes.
gosh. Okay, hold on, let me I got excuse my typing because I have to show you this. There is this report about Donald Trump handing out these shoes that he's obsessed with apparently, and he gives them to gift as gifts, and he won't let anyone leave without these shoes. They're $145 shoes. This was in the Wall Street Journal.
Well,
And there is a new picture out of Marco Rubio wearing these shoes, and they look a little big for him.
you gotta have a picture now. We gotta have it. Just set
Okay,
it up.
okay, hold on. Give me a second here.
Gotta have a
I'm I'm
picture.
I'm working
Well,
I'm working
there's been a lot of interesting stories come out over the last, a few days. You've got while you're looking for a picture, I'm trying to fill, okay?
Thank you, I
You
appreciate
you
it.
you've got,
Here we go.
you got the Hegseth, taking a bunch of money. Holy shit. Yeah, Marco, they're about 3 sizes too big. What's so special about those shoes?
Well, this is like these are the shoes that the president is obsessed with. I think they're Florsheim. They're $145, and there's this picture that the Wall Street Journal put out, and I'll put this one up too as long as we're here and talking about this. I mean, I planned to put this in, but I kind of forgot about it. But there's this picture of all of these officials wearing these shoes that apparently the president is very enamored with, I'll say that. Here they are. They're all wearing those shoes.
Well, that's good. It's good. I don't know
But
what
the
as the economy and people can't afford to buy food, and now they can't afford to buy gas, and, you've got medical care that people can't access anymore, and you got a war in Iran where young Americans are being killed and wounded. We're worried about the goddamn shoes. That's unbelievable. Anyway, sorry for my French.
You're fine, you're fine. Let's see if we have any, we have people saying some funny comments. This is what I love. He needs a box of Kleenex. LOL. That's loyalty for you. It's a cult. Monkey see, monkey do. Those are some of the live comments on our Substack here.
That's good.
Okay, last headline. People have been writing me, and they really want to hear us talk about what happened last week. It was a very busy news week for Montana politics. Last Wednesday alone, we saw former University of Montana President Seth Bodnar get into the Senate race as an independent. That's causing a lot of chatter, um, good and bad. We saw Senator Daines say he's not going to run for reelection with mere minutes before the filing deadline, so nobody else could get into it. And then we had something happen on Capitol Hill that day, and I'm going to play this as I talk. Um, so we saw this was from a Senate Armed Services Committee hearing, and there was a protester wearing a military uniform, Brian McGinnis. He's a Marine Corps veteran. He's also running as a Green Party candidate for U.S. Senate in North Carolina. And you see this here, and he spoke up. He was protesting, and we saw Senator Tim Healy get up of Montana and um, step in with those Capitol Police officers. Now, um, we hear that McGinnis broke his arm, and some people are saying that he was part of that or to blame for that. And it's been a little bit fuzzy as far as what exactly happened. But people want us to weigh in on it because it's something that a lot of people are talking about. So I guess what I was wondering is, like, have you ever seen a senator get up and rush like that, except for maybe on January 6th?
I didn't even see it on January 6th. What I do remember is I remember there was a hearing that Bernie Sanders was chairing a few years back, and there was a union official that was testifying, and Mark Wayne Mullins stood up and wanted to fight him. And I
Mhm.
remember Bernie's exact words. Bernie was, "Senators, sit down and act like a senator. Uh, you have an obligation to act like a senator." There are plenty of police in that Capitol that take care of the law enforcement and do a very good job. And I'm not even very good. They do one fantastic job of taking care of law enforcement in the Capitol and on the streets. And for a U.S. senator to walk up from the rostrum and get in the middle of that is not smart. It's not good judgment. It's not de-escalation. And quite honestly, some folks might think it's pretty cute, but in the end, it's not. Let the professionals handle it. Um, and that's what should have happened there. This guy was a Marine dressed in formerly probably a sergeant. Probably people know more about military than me and what it is, but probably got a few days, maybe even saw the wages of war. To be treated like that by another person from the military, um, not the proudest day for Montana.
Here's what, the Montana Free Press wrote. I mean, because there are a lot of questions, I should say, about this, and that it's absolutely true that the Marine's hand or arm, unclear there, it was broken, and Senator Sheehy was involved, but there are many different angles here, but, yeah, I appreciated people writing us. They wanted to hear us talk about that. So, there you go. Anything I'm missing, Senator? I mean, I know there's a ton I'm missing, but anything I'm missing?
Well, I
You
mean,
want
I think you need to point out that what Senator Daines did at literally 4:58 before the 5 o'clock filing deadline was pull his petition to run and insert it with Almy. So it wasn't like
Kurt
he was
Almy,
Kurt,
current U.S. attorney.
the
Oh,
current
well,
U.S.
no.
attorney. It wasn't like he was doing this to keep Democrats out. He did it to keep Republicans out, and people need to keep that in mind. That um, the leader of their party in Montana, and it's arguable whether it's GN40 or whether it's Daines, basically froze everybody that was a Republican that might have been looking and running for the Senate out. Uh, Senator Daines' excuse was to keep people like me and Bullock and Schweitzer from running. Hell, we weren't running anyway. And if we were going to run, he would have been the person we'd have wanted to run against. So it was,
The
it,
fun's out.
so it's pretty silly excuse. He did it to keep other Republicans from running and let it make it so that he is the person who decides, not the voters, who the Republican nominee is going to be. I shouldn't give a damn about this because I'm a Democrat, but I do care about democracy and I do care about people having the ability to choose their own candidates. And so that's the real problem. And then the other thing I would say is that Seth Bodner got in, former chancellor of the University of Montana, former,
President.
uh, what's that?
President.
Former president of the University of Montana. Sorry, what's a little semantics, Um,
What are
worked
facts? What do
worked in
facts
the
matter?
worked in the private sector for GE, Green Beret, in the military currently, um, got a great family, um, got a great resume, Rhodes Scholar, pretty good guy, um, and somebody who I think would represent the state of Montana very, very well in the United States Senate. As this campaign unfolds, need to pay attention to everybody that's running and choose the horse that best fits them for that race.
Do you wanna say anything more about that at all?
You're trying to prompt me to say something.
Well, I'm just
Uh,
like, there's a lot of speculation and a lot of people saying that, you know, John Tester did this or John Tester did
oh,
that.
okay. Well,
Does it say anything about what you did or didn't do?
here's the deal, and I told this to somebody. Actually, I think it was a press person. About I did the same thing I'm doing here in Georgetown at the University of Chicago last year, and one Marisa Giorgio mentioned to Seth Bodner that maybe U of M should have me do some sort of fellowship there. Now it's
No,
tough to
no,
do.
no, no, that's actually not like, he actually said maybe John Tester wants to do it. It wasn't
Okay,
even me.
okay,
Yeah, yeah.
he said it.
We don't have to
At the
talk
end,
about, like, how that all got planted, but
oh,
people are saying you called him
no,
to run as an
no,
independent. Do you wanna clear
no.
that up?
Yeah, no, I didn't. I didn't. Matter of fact, this is Seth Bodner's decision, and that's the decision which needs to be. He's running for the Senate, as I've told everybody it asks, is not the most pleasant experience in the world. Even if you win, it's not that pleasant. And so, um, uh, he made the call. He did it for all the right reasons, I believe, and it had nothing to do with me. Even though I like the dude, I think he'd make a hell of a senator, and I plan on supporting him. But the bottom line is that Seth needs to get out and meet as many people as possible and talk about what his vision is in the United States Senate for the state of Montana, because it's long past time that we have a United States senator that represents Montana and not Washington, D.C. And it's just that important for me. And so we need to find somebody who will do a good job that can win. And that's the bottom line.
Okay. Well, thank you, Senator, for clearing that up. Yeah, I people keep saying, "Well, John Tester called him and told him to run as an independent." And I said, "I
Now
don't think that's
that
how it went
you know
down."
what they say that is on the farm? That is bullshit.
Yes. Okay. I do wanna just comment. Debbie said that she hears that Steve Daines wants to be governor. Yeah, Debbie, like, that has been reported that it's in consideration, but my question is, why then? He could still be in the Senate for another couple of years
The other
and run.
thing is the other thing I would just say, if he wants to be governor, I don't think he did himself any good by pulling out the 2 minutes before the filing deadline and inserting somebody in. If that doesn't upset Republicans on a bid for governor, I don't know what would, quite frankly. So, yeah,
Okay.
so that's it.
All right,
Okay.
guys. Thank you for this long headline chat, Senator. I would like to play now for you this conversation we had with these lovely Georgetown students. I think you'll be very impressed with them, and I apologize to your parents for delaying this episode. There's no good excuse. So here we go. We're gonna play it now.
All right, tally ho, you guys.
And oh my goodness, we're in Georgetown. We're at Georgetown University.
You look smarter already.
I'm glad I'm fooling somebody. Look at
Yeah,
this. I got this for my son, Georgetown
I don't
Wyatt.
believe that. You're gonna wear that. Your kid will never see that.
Well, the cool thing right now is that when he's grown out of it, it's mine.
Yeah, exactly.
How old is he?
It's good.
14. Oh, yeah. Okay. We have some guests with us, Senator.
Yeah, we got Chicago versus San Francisco.
I
Mhm.
know. First, tell us what you're like. Tell us why we're in Georgetown and we'll introduce our guests.
Okay, I'm teaching a discussion group, teaching being a very loose term. I'm leading a discussion group with mainly undergraduate students, but sometimes a graduate student will show up. Sometimes former graduate of Georgetown will show up, and we're talking about democracy. And so,
For? The Institute of Politics and
at-
Public Service.
at Georgetown University. That's correct.
The McCourt School.
That's right.
Right?
Did
I get it right?
You can read pretty
Aced
good.
it.
You can read pretty good. At any rate, what's cool about these fellowships, and I did one at the University of Chicago last spring, as you may remember, if you've been watching our podcast for a while, is that I get to work with, and this is no baloney, and don't let this go to your heads, okay? But some of the smartest young people out there. These kids are white hot, nuclear smart, and no pressure. And they come to Georgetown, and a lot of them want to go into policy work at the local level, state level, federal level, and of course, since Georgetown's right next to Washington D.C., or maybe you call it even in
DC,
Washington
yes,
D.C.,
yes.
they have access to see, in the room where it happened, and so it's pretty cool. Well, we got Leo, and Leo's from Chicago.
And if you ask my statistics professor from last semester, he'll give you a little bit different of an analysis on my intelligence.
Oh,
Yeah.
really?
Well,
There's a story there, Leo. And we
Yeah.
have Kalpana from San Francisco. Okay, so you're both, what year are you?
I'm a freshman.
And I'm a junior.
Okay.
that's good.
And they're
So-
both in your discussion group.
Well, when they want to show up, it's
Well,
it's
I have
just the way
to
it
show
is.
up. So
Do you have to show
because
up?
I'm on your SST.
I know, but I didn't know you
What
had
does
to
that
show up.
mean? What does SST mean?
It's a small group of students that help the fellow with their discussion groups.
Tell me when
things up.
tell me when it's going to
So
be.
she's like your scheduler?
Well,
Well, there's nothing much to schedule.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, for a little inside information here, Senator Tester told me to be here at a certain time today, and it was 3 hours later.
So maybe
is
I
when
should
I'm
have
let's
at-
just look.
Actually supposed to be
If you're
here.
not early, you're late.
If you're not early, you're late. So, but do you have the power to give them grades?
No.
Oh, they.
No,
oh, that's good.
they are. Now, here's
not
here's the
good.
good thing about it. They just come because
They want to see you.
they come because they think that I can add value
So
to their lives.
surprising.
Unbelievable, huh?
It's like people who watch our podcast
Yeah,
because
and
they want to
everybody-
hear what we have to say. It's crazy.
And they just thought I was the eye candy, but now hey,
yeah.
it works out.
No, it works out. So we can talk about some specifics, but I do want to hear from you both. I know it's hard to believe, but I'm way older than you. Not as old as him.
But you do not look like you're in college anymore. Okay?
I'm not in
Okay.
college anymore. And I hear from so many of my friends with kids in college or high school or younger that their kids aren't interested or not engaged yet in politics. They're not paying attention to the news. Like, I know that you're at Georgetown and you're all both in political science. So you're exceptionally different from a lot of other people your age. But what do you hear from other people your age in your generation, maybe who aren't as honed in on these things as you are? I mean, like, what are your observations of your peers?
Yeah, I think I was in 6th grade when President Trump was elected for the first time. I barely remember anything from the Obama presidency other than once I was going to the local gym by my house in Chicago and he happened to be playing basketball and I saw him. But I do remember the murder of Michael Brown in Ferguson and the rise of the Black Lives Matter movement. I think that our political awakenings were Trump 1.0, the Women's March, Parkland, and George Floyd. And we don't know anything different than the pandemonium and the craziness
Yeah.
that we're seeing. And I don't think our generation knows a normal politics. I don't think we know decorum. I don't think we know diplomacy. And I don't think we know dialogue. That's what makes organizations like the Institute of Politics here at Georgetown so unique. But I also don't necessarily buy into the idea that our generation is not politically engaged. I think there's way more exposure through social media and through technology and the internet to politics than any other generation would have had before.
I agree,
At that
100%.
age, yeah.
If you look at voting rates, they obviously have not necessarily, among 18 to 24-year-olds, they've not necessarily increased, but there's not been a substantial decrease at all. They're around the same place that they were in the 90s. It might be that young people aren't voting.
I would also point out that if you were 6 years old when Trump, sixth grader, okay,
Probably 11 years old.
11 years old when Trump first got elected, you have looked at every president as being somebody in their late 70s or 80s.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think, yeah, I would agree with everything that Leo said, and I think that in addition
And
to,
you
like
were a 4th grader.
no, I was a 5th grader.
Oh, 5th grader,
Yes.
okay, all right.
I am a freshman, but I took a gap year,
Oh,
so
good.
I'm only a year
Good
younger than him.
choice.
Yeah, and I worked in city government for that year. But so I'm addicted to the government work, and so I'm definitely, like you said, not the usual person, but I would say that with my friends who are less engaged and my friends who I have to like really bug them to vote, they're just bombarded by so much bad news. I think what you were saying about how much exposure we have, it's almost too much exposure because no, we can't filter out the noise in a lot of ways. And so people shut down. But I do see a lot of people our age being engaged. Maybe they're not voting as much as I would like, but they care. And I think that we see candidates that are able to get young people out, for example, in New York in higher rates. But we have it looks like our generation kind of wants something to go to the polls for, and when they don't see that, they don't go.
That makes sense.
So my next question is what are those things that your generation is looking for candidates to talk about that will motivate uh, y- your generation to go to the polls? By the way, it's always been this way. My generation was your age.
Mhm.
Those
Yeah.
they never do anything. They're a bunch of lazy bums.
My
they
friends
don't
voted
pay
for
any
Jesse
attention.
Ventura for governor. Like, that was when I was 18. Stop.
That's okay. Jesse's a good guy. We need to get him on the show.
We did it.
Hear that, Jesse? We want you on, buddy. Anyway, what kind of things do the candidates need to talk about to get you fired up? Say, you know what, I don't want to go work for that person, but I'm sure I'm going to vote for him.
Mm. I feel like, well, I mean, you said affordability is a big thing, but that's, I guess, for more slightly older Gen Zers who are like in jobs right now. But affordability, I think, what I've heard a lot is like the climate crisis. The EPA rule has like the retraction of the
CO2 rule.
CO2 rule has freaked out a lot of people that I know, and it's very scary. I think right now ICE is a big one, especially coming from a sanctuary city. Everyone is scared, and we are glad that we haven't had the same kind of horrible assault that we've seen in other cities. But I do think right now, especially like the actions of the federal government are really making people scared, especially young people.
I don't think there's a single issue
Yeah.
that necessarily stands out. I think that having a candidate who is poised, who is able to talk to media and is able to engage in culture in a way that transcends politics is really important. I think right now that's something that the right wing is doing a lot better with young men. It's
Mhm.
hard to listen to a top podcast without politics being discussed. It's uh, I mean, a ton of young people watch UFC. They watch other forms of sports that the right wing is doing a really good job engaging with. Right now, the men's Olympic hockey team is in DC. They were posing in front of the White House. I think they're integrating into pop culture in a way that
Mhm.
feels authentic that maybe the left wing has not been able to do with young men.
Yeah, I think the gender gap is striking to
Striking.
me because I was looking at a graph and it was like it's just been growing. If you go like the younger you go, the wider the gender gap in terms of the party affiliation is, and that's kind of really striking.
What do you think I mean, because you said a word that is very important. It's authentic, genuine. So how do the Democrats do that in a way that's not phony?
I think the next president, whoever the 2028 candidate is going to need to know how to talk into the abyss into a camera. You've seen candidates who are very good at doing this. I think Zoran is a great idea, but authenticity trumps all else. That, for me, is why I'm really excited to see Governor Spanberger give the rebuttal today. I think that she's someone who is completely authentic. She's a good communicator, and she connects with the people that she talks to. She's someone who's a mother who deals with the same issues that a lot of other people do, and someone who doesn't necessarily feel like a politician, but can get, instead of being into your living room on your hand on their cell phone.
Mhm.
It's a good point. It's a really good point because that's where you get your information,
Yes.
right?
Yeah, I think also that Democrats often try to, like, break apart a message or analyze it to death, and I think and then you end up killing it because
Because you've stabbed it
because
so
you've
many
stabbed
times.
it so many times. You're not performing surgery, you're murdering the person. And so I think when we ask the question of, like, what is authenticity, and then this word authenticity again has been used to death, like, just be a person.
Right, like, I
Just
love when
don't
people
think
say,
about
like,
it.
"Try to be authentic." Well, no, you either
No.
are or you aren't.
Just
Like, you can't try. You either
if
are
you
or you are.
yeah, if you think about it too hard, then you've lost the
Jig
point,
is up,
because,
yeah.
like, you have to just be a person, and I think you were just, like, looking for people who are people and not people who are filtering their language through 30,000 spreadsheets of, "Oh, it's okay to say this word and not that word."
Mhm.
So you talked about climate potentially
Mhm.
being an issue, and you talked about some other things too. I want to bring up one you didn't bring up, and you can tell me, John, that's just not on my radar. The national debt.
Oh, that is actually on my radar screen, and I should have brought it up, but I don't know how much it is on everybody else's in our generation. Maybe you can speak to that, but that's been freaking me out a little bit.
Hmm.
I've just I don't know, I took a class, in which we were, like, analyzing and thinking about it, and I was just like, how much it's growing, and then the actions of the current administration that are just increasing it more, and I'm just like, when does this eventually just fall apart? Um, so I don't know.
Come on,
Do
Lynn.
you
You
have
can disagree
I
or
mean,
agree.
I don't think that the national debt is atop the mind of any young person. I don't think any young person actually knows how the debt works.
I would
They don't
agree
know.
with that.
I wouldn't just single it out to young people.
I don't
No,
think
I don't
anyone.
think I don't think I think my position is a little odd.
I think
I don't
it's.
think
unique.
other
It's
people
unique.
yes, I don't think other people are thinking the way
I've
that
been,
I'm
I've been
thinking.
accused of that too, so
I
it's okay.
I think it's a problem, but at the same time, as we saw in the last election, people's judgment on the economy and how they're doing in the economy is not necessarily in how the stock market is performing or what the national debt looks like. It's on if they can afford the things that the parents did,
Exactly.
Yeah.
if they can graduate college and actually live in a city like they want to, if they can get a job that pays enough that uh, they can put down money to think about buying a house. It's the fact that home affordability and other forms of affordability are just beyond comprehension
Mm.
or beyond reality at this point.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
You guys, one or both of you mentioned. Did you both mention ice? You mentioned
I
ice.
mentioned ice.
Did you mention ice?
No,
You don't have to.
but I definitely think it's top of mind.
Okay,
Yeah,
good.
it's
So tell me why it's top of mind. What do you see as the concerns with ice? We could tell you what
Yeah.
our concerns are,
Mhm,
but we
mhm.
don't count. You
Yeah,
can
we
just
wanna
do it.
hear from you.
I think first, President Trump was elected in no small part because of his focus on immigration. And but especially the border. And I think Americans overwhelmingly support Trump's efforts to limit border crossings, and it has been the defining success of his second term. But the tactics that immigration enforcement is using in American cities, like where I live in Chicago, and at secretive detention immigration facilities where children are being locked up, that is both illegal, it is immoral, and it is cruel. I think locking up children, targeting people based on their appearance, violating court orders, and refusing to follow the rules every other member of law enforcement is required to follow are against everything we stand for as Americans. And I personally applaud the congressional Democrats right now that are taking up this fight in terms of the Homeland Security funding.
I would also say, like you said, we get everything on our phones, and that includes videos of ICE shooting US citizens. And the thing that has been especially prevalent right now is, like, I was talking to my friend, and she saw a story about a woman. I think it was a white woman. She had diabetes, and ICE detained her and they wouldn't allow her to get medical attention and get her insulin. And my friend has diabetes. And so she saw someone, that was something that she's been afraid of, like being stuck somewhere without her insulin. And she was like, and it was a white woman. She's a white woman, right? And I think a lot of people who thought that they would never be touched by this issue are seeing people who look like them get killed or hurt.
If you talk to some of your student body folks about that, do they all feel about the same way you do, or some of them not know what's going on, or what is it? Is this a fairly common theme with the folks that you're around?
For me, yeah, I would say it is. And like, it depends on who is like to the level to which we talk about it. But I think I've probably mentioned it at least once with almost everyone I know. But yeah.
I think there's broad awareness of the atrocities which ICE are committing and the recklessness with which they're prosecuting their job.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting because there's a lot of folks that are in my generation in my neighborhood that watch nothing but Network Fox, and a lot of them aren't aware of the stuff that's going on. It's just a matter of Fox not covering it, or if they cover it, they just touch on it and move on to something else, like the weather in Maine. Which is always fun to talk about.
And I'm from Chicago, and I don't live in a neighborhood with a large immigrant population. But when ICE took over Chicago, they still came to my neighborhood. And anyone who looked like they could have been an illegal immigrant, largely service workers and landscapers, were being asked for their papers.
So you mean anybody who had brown skin or darker skin?
Yes.
Is that what you mean?
And that is over racial profiling.
Right.
And
Yeah.
the people and the videos from my neighborhood, which is a peaceful residential neighborhood, it is not people who would be called professional protesters or people who have probably ever protested anything. It is upper middle class white people out there leaving their houses, getting pepper sprayed by
Right.
police in masks.
Same in
Right.
Minnesota. Same thing in
Yeah.
Minnesota. So do you, again, like, I know that there's an asterisk on this because you two are both studying politics at Georgetown, but do you have friends in your friend groups, either here or at home, that say like, "Oh, no, I don't wanna get involved. I don't wanna talk fast." Oh!
Whoa, you broke the chair.
That says more
Ladies
about
and
the chair
gentlemen,
than it does about you.
people talk about my bulk. Now you know the real problem.
Oh my god.
Here,
I
wait,
think-
push. I think it's on the other side. Here, push the.
Just wait, what?
I think it's just on the
I
chair.
hope she doesn't delete this when she
Yeah, it's-
fixes
there-
this tape.
Is
I'll
there?
just tell you that.
Oh, this thing.
No,
This
no,
is-
no,
no.
no.
I think
It's
that's
that.
I
It's
can't.
just
No,
supposed to
on
be
the
like
other
this, right?
side, do you see the lever?
Yeah, but
Push it in.
oh,
There
is
you
it
go.
Exactly.
not supposed to lean back?
There you go.
Oh,
Uh,
Okay.
so you didn't break it.
So she no, come on. Say she broke it. Please say she
He just
broke
wants
it.
to say, yeah,
Uh,
he just
yes.
wants to, yeah,
That's it.
here's something that you should always do is make a joke about a woman's weight. Slam dunk every time.
You know,
Actually,
it's
anyone's weight. Let's
it's
just like,
the-
yeah.
yeah, well, right. It doesn't stop you, okay?
Um,
So
but I was asking you if you have friends in your, okay, two questions. In your circle, do you have friends who go, I don't want to get in politics. I don't want to talk about politics. It doesn't affect me.
this would probably be more like back home than it would be
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
Yes. It's
Okay, but the second question is, do you have friends who are MAGA?
I have, well, interestingly, first at Georgetown. I think Georgetown's an incredible place in which there's a wide variety of viewpoints and backgrounds and geological or geographic diversity. And I'm really lucky to have friends who have very different opinions than me. Um, that being said, back at home, I felt like I grew up in a very liberal bubble, one in which I identify as a Democrat. I've interned in Democratic politics, but I felt that it was too uniform and I was uncomfortable with that. Now that we've gotten a little bit older, I definitely do have friends that are Republicans, and I respect anyone that I can have a reasonable conversation with. And that's the kind of stuff that I'd seek out. I got really bored in spaces where I agree with everyone.
That's good.
So I value.
So what do those conversations look like?
I mean, I try to keep it focused on specific policies. I think ICE is a big one. I think Doge was a big one when that was happening.
Sure.
Yeah.
And I think it just depends on who that person is and what they care about.
Yeah, I would say coming here, I've definitely met more people with different opinions because San Francisco is a bubble. But I do have friends from San Francisco who are, they're older though, they're not my age, who are Republican. And I have a few Republican friends, but I've never figured out what flavor of Republican they are by talking to them.
Oh, interesting.
So I mean, I never, maybe I should just go right out and ask them, are you MAGA or not? But
Well, you don't have
I don't
to.
have
I don't
to.
think
Yeah,
you
I
have
don't
to.
think I didn't feel the need to because
Yeah.
we just have
It doesn't
conversations.
get in the way of your
No, about policy. And so I see, okay, they're like, okay, they support this thing, I don't, whatever. But there's many different shades of red, I would say. And
Yeah. Just like blue.
yeah,
Just
just
like
like blue. So I don't know. I don't know if they're MAGA or not. But I do appreciate the conversations I've had with them, though I have gotten frustrated more than a few times. But I think that's useful.
Yeah. Good exercise.
You want to talk about AI for a second?
You go for it.
You laying out on the AI? So, what's your guys' awareness on AI? What do you think of it?
I went to a discussion group for geopolitics last semester for it every time with Senator LaFonza Butler, and that was really interesting.
And she talked about AI?
She
That was
talked
our whole
about-
discussion group?
Yes, it was all about AI and the worker, which was really interesting, and it made me think a lot. It made me much
The
more
worker, like
interest-
employees?
like labor.
Yeah, like how it's going to, I mean, this
How-
is happening in my profession in journalism. News
Yeah.
organizations are using AI to write copy.
Yeah, and so I think I don't know. I think it's dangerous if we just leave it unregulated. But then there's also the issue of we don't understand it enough to regulate it. But then we had that same situation with previous tech where we're like, okay, we'll regulate it later. And that didn't work. So I feel like we need to kind of be proactive without being like, okay, we're just going to stop everything. Because you can't. But it does concern me, and specifically with academics, it concerns me because I feel like if we use something else to think for ourselves, then we're not going to develop the ability to properly critically think, and that does bother me.
Yes.
So-
when I see
So, do you think, let me ask you this, because there's a debate about this right now. Do you think humans ought to be in the loop on every AI decision?
every AI decision.
Who else will be in?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Wait, what is every AI decision?
let AI make
No.
Rogue AI,
What?
there's Attack of the Robots.
Haven't
No.
you seen?
Like-
Oh, I know the answer to this. He hasn't seen any movies, but
Wait, we were just.
iRobot. What,
I have
what are
not
you
seen
thinking of?
iRobot. No, I was thinking of Commander Data and Star Trek. But
Oh, wait, there's that
There
too.
you go.
he's a benevolent.
No, there are
AI,
some.
but
There's some that want AI to just
What?
If they, of
do
course,
things.
To make its
we
own destiny.
actually talked about this. You give them a decision to make and let them make the decision, and there's not a human to double check it.
Oh, I don't know.
On its own future?
No.
So-
Dropping a bomb somewhere.
I think you're seeing that play out at the Pentagon right now in terms of Anthropic and their
Yeah.
dispute.
That's correct.
I would not want that.
I
with
gotta
weapons.
go.
I don't want
See-
specifically with life and death situations. I feel like I would not want it to be
No.
supervised by a human.
At least
At least
from
not right
By the
now.
way, how did you find out about that? The AI with them. That's fairly new stuff.
I
articles.
read a little bit more New York Times than most people my age.
Is that
It
your
was
is that
in the
your
morning,
go-to source?
I think.
Generally, New York Times. I listen to the Daily.
Okay.
Um,
Every day?
and then most days,
Yep.
and then I scroll a lot of Twitter.
Twitter.
Oh, thank you for calling it Twitter.
Yeah, where do you
Um,
get your news?
I get also New York Times because Georgetown gives us access to the New York Times.
Oh,
so that's
nice.
okay. And they sent too many emails whoever's in the New York Times. Don't send something.
Press on
I
subscribe.
did. I'm telling you, I did. But I looked through the morning there's one every morning, and they have like the news articles of every day, and then I also I look at news outlets posts on Instagram, which they have, and then they'll link to articles.
Yes. So back
So-
to the AI thing though.
Yeah.
So you saw about that in the New York Times.
Yeah, I saw that in the New York Times, but I think primarily, at least from my perspective, I'm thinking of AI in two ways. First, from a labor dislocation state, mostly for young people. I think the first people we're seeing dislocated in the job market because of AI are recent college graduates who are looking for entry level white collar jobs, particularly in consulting. There's a whole ton of companies that are not even taking summer associates currently. And I think our generation has been told that go study computer science or go study business. And now AI can do all of those things already in its current state. And this is before you even introduce things like vibe coding.
Well, and then that brings up a point in my head, like, okay, you get rid of those entry level positions. There's nobody to work their way up, and the workforce is going to age out.
I mean, you lose the institutional memory because you don't develop it at all. So
It's not all bad news.
I mean, it can help with a lot of things. It's not all bad.
I literally think in medicine, it
It's
can be.
no, I
In
think
medicine,
it's
it's,
amazing.
it is a double-edged sword.
Yes.
But I
Yeah.
also think that our politicians are not doing anything to regulate
100%.
I
this.
agree. I think
100%.
well-regulated AI would be a good thing.
But I think we'd be naive to right now in our political environment think that we're going to see something. At least crypto and AI companies, they've
Mhm.
created a war chest of independent expenditures. You saw Ohio already last year, the most expensive Senate race in American history.
Yeah.
This race, this year is for sure going to beat it. And I'm really scared about the potential for misinformation and for deepfakes,
Mhm.
Yeah.
not just politically,
Oh,
but also
yeah.
just as a person in society who doesn't want my future ruined
That's right.
over some sort of deepfake.
Mhm.
Look, we've had a debate on this podcast for the last year about when Congress is going to start acting. I think you're spot on. I don't think you could expect Congress to act on this because they're not acting on very fundamental things in government. They're not. But the truth is I think if the group of them want to get together and do some good common sense regulation on AI, it can be done, and I think the AI industry would help them.
Mhm.
But the AI industry already was pushing for a state moratorium on AI regulation that the Trump administration's been pushing.
Yeah. I know.
I'm not exactly optimistic here. You've never seen Congress be able to do anything on social media reform. And this is something where, at least following Jonathan Haidt's book, The Anxious Generation, the most bipartisan issue in state legislatures and in cities has been phone bans in schools.
Mhm.
Everyone realizes that this is a problem. There's a few, we might not agree on every solution, but there's a few policy solutions that everyone will agree on.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
we have to be able to institute those baseline ones.
That's true.
I agree. And I think that we've seen at least one bill in Congress. I was paying attention. AOC and Josh Hawley
Yes.
co-sponsoring, I think it's the Defiance Act about AI porn. And so there's like pockets of this regulation that can be
Right.
done.
Yep.
So I'm looking for that.
And then we're going to have to break up, but
Wrap
you
it
get
up.
one last question since you broke the chair. Okay. What is it going to be?
Okay, so you mentioned a word that is hopeful. What gives you both hope about the future? Because you are the future. So what gives you hope about the future in your hands once you take it from what you already have?
Yeah, I've already seated.
Yeah, you're gone.
He didn't make us pry it out of his cold dead hands, and I appreciate
Well, yeah,
that.
no, it's
I really
true.
do.
Yeah, no,
Not everyone is like
I'm here to help.
Well, he may have, though. We don't know.
Let's get back to the question. What gives you hope?
I think I get asked this question a lot because everyone's like, "Why are you in politics? Are you not just depressed every day?"
Yeah.
But I see people in like the worst circumstances, still standing up and still fighting in much worse circumstances than I am, and just taking risks, and that I don't know that we don't expect people to take. Like for example, um in the cities that ICE has ravaged, and so I've also seen some new government leaders pop up. Like I'm a progressive Democrat, so yes, Zohran Mamdani is really exciting to me, but also the less flashy ones. I'm a big fan of Congresswoman Pramila Jayapal. I think she's a really fantastic leader. And so I look and I see people, they're not in the majority, but they're there and they're fighting. And that gives me hope because I can see people that are working on behalf of my future who I grudgingly trust as long as they continue to deserve it. And and that makes me hopeful.
I like that. As long
That's
as they
nice.
continue to deserve it. No blind loyalty here.
That's right.
That's good. We need
Well, it
more
should
of
be.
that.
I think part of this technological innovation does give me hope. I think there's going to be a push towards more humanistic jobs, things that humans can only uniquely do. And I think weirdly that might save us from this highly technologic world that is not authentic and uh, not reality. Uh, but I am also hopeful about the amount of young people who are running for office. 2 years ago, I got to intern on a congressional campaign for someone who almost became the second Gen Z congressman.
Hmm.
And seeing how many young people are running for office who, in this new political era, one in which you have to be comfortable speaking to a camera, you have to be good at digital. Uh, I mean, these are going to have to be young people or at bare minimum, someone who can communicate with young people. Uh, we have a lot of people stepping down from Congress this semester, both or this term,
Mhm.
both on the Democratic and especially on the Republican side. And Washington needs some fresh faces. And ultimately, we're seeing there's no true heir to the MAGA movement. There's going to be a completely different political arena on the right. And obviously, you're already seeing shifting on the left. So there's going to be a lot of room for change. And ultimately, in 2028 and even in 2026, starting this week, you're going to have the choice in the hands of voters at the ballot box.
I'm sorry, one last thing. What are your dream jobs? Quickly.
I want to work many jobs.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good answer.
So maybe like
what's the
chief of
best
staff to
chief of
someone
staff?
would be interesting.
Ooh.
To a senator?
I don't know.
Gotta be a senator from California.
Ooh.
Let's start with Congress, maybe.
Yes.
But I don't know about.
Liam.
Not you, Leo.
When I was little, I really wanted to be a bus driver.
Oh, that's so cute.
I can say two words, bus and truck. But at this point, I am hoping to hopefully go work in politics too.
Like on the hill?
Yeah, probably on the Hill. I've loved working on campaigns. So
Great.
hoping to continue that, like the behind the scenes work that people don't know about.
Well, I hope a lot of folks watch this podcast because you guys give me hope.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Don't shed a tear for that. Shed a tear for Maritza breaking a perfectly good chair.
I don't think it's broken.
Oh,
I appreciate it.
yeah,
I'm with.
yes.
I can't
Are you
betray
with
the
her?
sisterhood.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Anyway,
Sisterhood.
but
I'll show her my bracelet.
I know.
I have to,
The show's
I have to
over.
refrain from commenting before my mother and two sisters.
Oh.
That's it. But I want to thank you
Oh, I
guys.
love that.
I want to thank you guys for being on the podcast. I think that your perspective is really, really, really important as we get into this 2026 cycle for sure. Hopefully, there's some folks out there that are running for office that heard what you had to say about what appeals to you.
And if you think of things that we should know and ways that we can communicate better with folks your age,
Let us know.
let us know.
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
Thank you for having me.
Appreciate it.
Thanks,
Thank you.
guys.
You bet.
All right.
Tally ho.